That's it.
Thank you. Praise the Lord, Amen. It's good to be in the house of the Lord once again. Pastor has already shared all the accolades from our tent revolution and all the good food, the good word, the good fellowship. He shared all of that, and I concur with what he said. Amen. Because everything was just awesome. Amen. And I thank God for the people of God.
Amen. Amen.
Yes. So I am not going to be before you long, but I mentioned to him that I did want to share with the young people, since this is Youth Sunday, just share some encouraging words to our youth. Especially those that come out to the house of God from week to week. Amen. As I was just contemplating, and first let me just give honor to the Spirit of the Lord in this place, to Apostle, to our ministry, our evangelist, prophet, and to all the people of God. We thank God for you, Bishop Bracy, and to all of you. Amen. I just give God praise because He's a good God.
He's a good God.
Amen. And as I was saying, I just want to encourage our young people, that come here, because I believe that we are the only church in this area that even have young people.
All right, amen.
To attend church, because we associate with a lot of pastors, and we hear them say that they don't have young people in their church. It's just the older people that come, and thank God for them. But we thank God for the young people that are here in this place. And I just want to encourage them, because we don't want our youth to get lost in church. Amen. We don't want them to get lost in church, because as a lot of us grew up in the house of God, and sometimes the children say, "Oh, church is boring. I don't want to be here." But we don't want our youth to get lost in translation of who God is. Amen. Because we need them. They're our future, and we need them. Amen. Amen. So when our children are born, they're nourished by their parents, and they're so helpless, when they're small, and we take care of them, and we nurture them when they're babies. We watch over them. We help them to grow and develop. First comes the newborn stage, and then the toddlers, and then they start crawling and walking, and we're just so excited, and we just get so happy when we see that going on, and then they begin to talk and have a sense of independence, as they're growing older. So we as parents, we have to teach and train them to know the difference between right and wrong.
All right, yes.
So the Bible says to train up a child in the way they should go, and when they are old, they won't depart. But we know a lot of times when our children grow up, they develop their own sense and their own reasoning, and they don't always do what we want them to do, and it's okay, because God has put in us, a choice. He's given us free will. And I was looking over in the book of Proverbs, Proverbs chapter 3, and it says, "My son, forget not my law, but let thine heart keep my commandment. For length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee." And we want our kids to have long life and peace. And we want them to just grow in the admonition of who God is. But sometimes, as they grow older and they begin to, experience some things in this life, that doesn't always happen. That's right. But like I said, I just want to encourage our young people. Amen. Just the things that you hear here in the house of God, to hold on to them.
Hold on
to them.
Yes.
In Ecclesiastes chapter 12, we heard this growing up in the church. Remember now thy Creator in the days of your youth. And we used to hear that scripture all the time, to the point where we knew how to quote the whole scripture verbatim.
All right.
You know, we didn't even have to look in our Bible because we knew what it says.
That's right.
Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be darkened and the clouds return after the rain, and the keepers of the house shall tremble, and strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look at the windows are darkened. You know, it talks about us from our youth up growing old. Because we're not going to always stay young. Young people, you're not going to always be young.
Right.
You know, I remember growing up. I remember being in church, you know, with my parents and just wanting to, at first when you're little, you want to be there. You know, I look at Xavier and how excited he gets when it's time to go to church and we're at home and we're telling him, he'll say, I don't want to go to church. And we're telling him it's not time. And he's and he starts crying because he wants to go to church.
Yes.
And my prayer is that all of us would have that same enthusiasm, not just when we're little, but when we begin to grow older. You know, that we will want to be here. I remember wanting to be in the house of the Lord when I was small. It was just so exciting to me at the time. You know, it's time to go to church. Because, you know, I love to sing, so I knew when I got to church, I was going to sing.
All right.
And I was in every choir, and, you know, we just had a good time. But you know, after a while, things begin to change. And our minds begin to change, and we start experiencing things in the world, you know, as a young person. And we begin to have our own mind.
That's right.
You know, I know in my house, you know, sometimes they were like, well, I don't want to go. I don't want to go to church. But Apostle always say, as for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. You know, and we let them know when it comes time that you don't want to be in church and you just want to do your own thing, then you got to find somewhere else to go. And that's just the way it was.
Amen.
You know, but I thank God that my children wanted to be in church, you know, and they were here all the time until they got to the point where they wanted to do their own thing.
Amen.
So, you know, and at first, as a parent, you're like, you want them, you know, to desire the things that you desire. But that's not always the case. And they want to go their own way. And we can't beat ourselves up
That's right.
over.
That's right.
We can't beat ourselves up over.
Amen.
Because when as they were growing, you put it in them.
That's right.
You instilled in them the things that they needed to know, you know, as a child and as a child of God. So, and I know for me, I wasn't always happy when I saw my kids doing things that I knew wasn't God.
That's right.
You know, and it hurts us as parents to see our children go astray. You know, and they'll say, well, I got to make my own mistakes, you know, let me live my life. But as a parent, it hurts to see your kids go down a path that you know the end is not going to be good. You know it's not. But, you know, when for some reason, between the age of 15 and 16, kids think they know everything.
They do well.
And they know it all. You can't tell them nothing. You know, they know everything, and all of a sudden they're grown. I'm like, at 15 and 16, you are not grown.
That's right.
You know, I remember those days when my kids growing up. Our middle son, we like to use Kevin as an example.
Lord Jesus.
Kevin was a piece of work.
Yes, he was.
And at 15, he decided he's grown. He's going to leave the house and go out on his own. You're 15. You don't know what you're doing.
You don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm grown. I'm leaving. All right. Okay. Go ahead on. Quit school.
Yes.
Moved in with, you know, some girl, random people.
Yeah.
That was one of the hardest things I think I had ever had to
That's
experience. I just wanted one of them.
Yeah, that's just one.
That's just one. We got some stories. But he decided at 15 years old, he wanted to leave home and move out. He started living with this girl. She had a couple of children. I'm like, what do you know at 15? So this went on for a while. And I'm home and I'm just praying and seeking the Lord and like, Lord, where's my son and what is he doing? You know, and he was in the area and I would see him and he didn't look the same.
No.
He didn't look the same. And it reminded me of the story of the prodigal son. When one of the sons said, all right, Dad, I've been in this house long enough. It's time for me to go. So give me my inheritance and let me go explore the world and do what I need to do.
All right now.
Well, we all know the story of the prodigal son. When he left home, he just went buck wild. Just doing everything, just party. He was just living it up, spending all his inheritance, sharing it with everybody, and just doing everything. Till the time came when all the money is gone. You ain't got no friends. You got no friends. Everybody left you. You know, all the people that you helped and you spending money on, they kikiing up with you. All of a sudden, the prodigal son realized, I'm all by myself. I don't have nobody. And he started thinking, wow, I don't left home. I don't left my dad. You know, I need to just go on back home and ask my dad for forgiveness and see if he'll just let me work for him. As parents, even though our kids go astray and they do things that we know they shouldn't be doing and it hurts us to the core of our hearts, when the prodigal son returned, his dad saw him from afar off, the word says, and he was so happy to see his son. He said, kill the fatted calf. Let's have a party. My son is back home. He was dead and now he's alive again. Put a ring on his finger. And he was just so happy. They just started making merry and having this big old party because the prodigal son had returned. That's how I felt when Kevin came back.
All right.
You know, he had returned home once again. It took him a minute when he came back. And I was just so happy because it was just, you know, I love all my children equally, but there was something about Kevin, you know, where he was just pulling on my heartstrings and I just knew that there was something in him that was great, but he couldn't see it. He couldn't see it at the time. And I just prayed, Lord, please let him come back home. And I think there was a path in my house where I would just walk the floor at night, praying for him to return. So he finally came back home, and wow, joy that flooded my soul. He came back because I was seeing him in the street, and he looked like he was just thrown away. You know, and if anybody know Kevin is meticulous when it comes to his dress, when it comes to him, his whole appearance. Kevin liked to look good.
That's right.
And he didn't look good when I saw him. But there was nothing I could do. So I wouldn't talk to him. I wouldn't tell him, you need to come over. I didn't say any of that.
That's right.
I just let Kevin live his life the way he thought he should. And he knew that we loved him, you know, but I didn't badger him. I didn't beat him down. And finally he decided himself that he was going to come home.
That's right. Amen.
And it was a good day when he did. He came back. He got back to school as if he had never left. He was a pretty smart boy. Got back into the swing of things, graduated on time, and decided he wanted to go into the service. I told that recruiter, you cannot get him out of here quick enough. So he decided he wanted to go into the Air Force, and that was one of the greatest days to see him get out of here and make something of himself. So I thank God to this day that he has been in the Air Force for almost 17 years, I believe. He's a master sergeant. He's doing great things. Thank God. So that's why we cannot give up on our children. We can't give up on them. No matter what they do, we can't give up on them. You know, and I praise God, you know, for our young people here. And I know sometimes they'll say, well, man, I got to go to church again. But hang in there, young people.
Hang in there.
Hang in there. You know, I understand that young people want to go out and and do their own thing, and and explore some things on their own right. But what we put in them, what I'm trying to say, what we put in them, I know it's in them.
It's in them.
And after a while, they come back.
Amen.
They come back after a while. And I'll never forget Angela and Tawana. They were little girls. I think about 3 and 4. I'm home doing the dishes, doing what I gotta do. All of a sudden, they're missing. I cannot find these 2 little girls. And I'm like, Lord Jesus, where my kids at? I was getting ready to call the police because I didn't know what had happened to them. And I'm praying, I'm like frantic, running in the house, running all around looking for them. And I happened to come to the kitchen window and look out the window. And these 2 little girls holding hands, walking down the sidewalk. I didn't know whether to kiss them or kill them. I said, where in the world have you been? Tawana took Angela down the street because she wanted to show her where the church was. I said, oh.
That's right.
I mean, we have had some trying times. Trying times with our children. But, these are some of the stories that have gone on in my life. There's a few we can talk about.
That's right.
But, I just thank God for them and how we just brought them up. And they always wanted to be here. The time we left Tawana in the church and she's sleeping in the back.
That's
We done
right.
locked up the church. Everybody's going home. And she's still laying back there sleeping.
That's right.
But this was their life. And this is what they did. They were here in the house of God. And I thank God for that. And I just give Him praise, for our youth. And as I said, we don't want our youth to get lost in the house of God.
Amen.
Because sometimes we can. We can get lost. We can be here, but not be here.
That's right.
So I'm just so thankful to God for what He is doing in our young people. And we just want to continue to encourage them. Encourage them.
Yes.
That they can do great things. They can do whatever they want to do as long as they put God first.
Amen.
Amen.